Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting together, this city council meeting together, and we will start with introductory notes. Members of the public wishing to address the city council on items appearing on this agenda are advised to indicate their interest in doing so by submitting a speaker card to city staff or proceeding to the podium one by one at the time an item is considered. Members of the public wishing to address the city council on items not appearing on this agenda may do so during item 5. Each speaker will have the opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes, once per agenda item, unless otherwise allowed by the city council. Speakers are requested but not required to identify themselves both on any applicable speaker cards and in comments or testimony. Speakers are advised that their name and any information submitted on speaker cards or otherwise provided in writing to the city may be disclosed or become a matter of public record. No speaker should expect privacy of such information. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Connors. Councilmember Lee.
Present.
Councilmember Moore.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem McCary.
Present.
Mayor Horn.
Present. Okay, the Pledge of Allegiance. Will Councilmember Connors please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, presentation and ceremonial matters. Wildfire awareness and prevention season, midsummer to early fall. Wasn't Chief Summers going to make a presentation on this? Are you? Great. Please, yes.
Time.
All right. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Council, and City staff. Thank you for the opportunity to accept the proclamation for wildfire preparedness and prevention on behalf of the Orange County Fire Authority. Persistent drought, warmer temperatures, and severe winds have compounded threatening and devastating wildfire realities throughout California. This fire season, the OCFA has deployed several resources to combat wildfires plaguing California. To date, we've experienced several small wildfires within our community of Orange County. OCFA's goal is to help prevent wildfires and mitigate the threat they pose to Orange County by working collaboratively with our communities to raise awareness through public education, emergency planning, and preemptive wildfire prevention strategies. Throughout this wildfire awareness and prevention season, the OCFA encourages our community to ensure they are wildfire ready by participating in the Ready, Set, Go program. So a little bit about the Ready, Set, Go program. Number 1 is ready your home by clearing vegetation and combustible materials away from your home. 2 is set. Have a disaster kit and go bag and understand what to do as a wildfire approaches, such as closing windows, shutting off your air conditioner, and closing your garage door. And 3, the go part. Have an established evacuation plan, know where to grab your disaster kit and go bag, and know when to evacuate. Additional information on the Ready, Set, Go program can be found at ocfa.org/RSG. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone like to say anything?
Thank you for the reminder, and it's just very timely as we are having some really hot weather right now, and those things can trigger some fires. But thank you for the reminder. There's something that we all have to keep before our minds all of the time, because at any time there's a possibility that we might have to be ready and set to go.
Thank you.
Cynthia.
One of the things that I realized with the wildfires in LA last year is that it's not just fires in the wilderness area that threaten us, but if we have red flag conditions and low humidity and hot temperature and high winds, a kitchen fire in Lake Forest could turn into an urban conflagration and be just as threatening to us as a fire in Laguna Canyon.
Correct.
So it's just important to be aware, inside and out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Carol?
I appreciate being reminded, and I think just recently I had someone who responded to the discarding cigarettes, and I think that helped. Although I'm still seeing them, they're mainly in the cracks, so they're not laying out there where they've have a long ash on them and they've burned for a while. So I think that might have been helpful. I appreciate everything that you do to notify us and make sure that we're aware of the hazards that we, actually humans, cause. Thank you.
This is a little bit funny example. We were told to keep the disaster kits and have extra water. And this one household in our village, this lady had the water jugs, didn't realize it started leaking. So I was in the membership hearing committee, and she never thought about checking. And it's been sitting there for a long time, and the water really ruined the whole floor and had no idea where it came from. And it's next to her disaster kit. They stacked the water jug, and one of them, and I thought that was kind of
made a cut in it? Mm-hmm. Oh.
And it was, I've never seen anything like that, and it really did quite a bit of damage to a property. So I think we need to occasionally check with our disaster supplies.
Could I also respond to that? I'm not sure we should be encouraging people to save water in plastic containers. I know if they set in your car and the car gets warm, they tell you not to drink that water. And there are a number of hazards with drinking water from plastic containers. I would suggest we might be thinking about another way to save water, because I'm not sure this is a healthy issue to be involved in either. Thank you.
Go bags are really important, maybe not for water, but for like your medication, and to remember to change it out because everything gets old. We had that problem with water too. We had some jugs of water and it ate right through and ruined a wool carpet. But I'm just very grateful to have you guys there, especially at this time. Well, I guess every month is fire season now, but it's great to know that there's someone that will be there in an emergency, and we're very grateful. Would we like to take a picture? Why don't we do?
Move the
Okay, move.
I move the resolution. Or did we?
Okay, all in
did we
favor?
read it? I guess we did.
Aye, okay. Okay, so let's go down there and take a picture, and because the next one's a presentation, so.
Okay.
Okay, now we have a presentation by the Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control Board District, agendized by Councilmember Lee. Please come up.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor, council members. Thank you for your service, Mayor Horn. You've been with trustee with us for many years, and Councilmember Lee is carrying on that torch. No offense, fire people, but we appreciate it. So thank you for having us here. Okay, so today we are going to talk about mostly mosquitoes. Mosquito and vector control district is what we are. A vector is any animal that can spread disease. So we'll just start with that there. And I'll go on there. Oh, there we go. All right, so I like to start with our mission statement. It really says what we do, which is to educate and protect the people of Orange County from vectors and vector-borne diseases in an environmentally responsible manner. First word is educate. We can come out, we're a free service, we can do inspections and look for mosquitoes, rats, and tell you what you can do, but we can't be everywhere. So part of the thing that we need to do is let people know what you can do to keep yourself safe from these things. And then an environmentally responsible manner. We take that very seriously. We get two kinds of phone calls when it starts getting warm, the mosquitoes start getting active. We get a lot of phone calls. The first type of phone call we get is, why aren't you spraying? I have mosquitoes. Why aren't you spraying? Well, if you spray too much, then the mosquitoes build up a resistance, and that's just no good. And typically when you spray, that's only going to take care of the adult mosquitoes. So if you have mosquitoes breeding and there's larvae there, they can just pop up right again and you just have to spray again. So we only use spraying when there's an abundance of mosquitoes and the presence of disease. So we want to make sure that's going to work and it's going to do what we want it to do. And so that's the people that, why don't we spray? Why don't we spray? And then why are you spraying? I think I explained that. It's just to keep people safe, okay? So so let's move on here. See if I might need, there we go. Okay, so this is just kind of a graphic to show you all the places that rats and mice can get into your house. Also a concern. We typically worry about rats more as we get toward fall and winter, but a rat can squeeze through any hole the size of a quarter. Mice can squeeze through a hole the size of a dime, so they just compress their bones and they get right on in there. So rats and mice are going to be out there in the wild. They're wild animals. What you want to do is, first thing is make sure they can't get into your house, because that's a problem. But you want to also make sure that your yard is not attractive to them. So the things they look for are food. You don't want to leave food out. Bird seed, they love the birds. Birds are messy eaters. About half that bird seed falls on the ground. Rats love that. Water. And harborage, and that would be a place to live, right? So a dirty yard is a great yard for rats to find places to nest in. So keep that yard clean. Okay. Thank you. All right, so what do? We make the world's best chili in the world. Yes, we do. It's been proven at the world's largest chili cook-off over there in Tustin. It was a few years back. I had the pleasure of making some of this chili. There's about 80 ingredients in it. Wow. It's delicious. The one person who knows how to make it is tired of making it, and every year it's, come on, make some more. I say that because this falls right into our educate people. So while we're giving them this delicious chili, we're telling them what they can do to protect themselves and their families from mosquitoes and other vectors. So let's see. All right, so what else do? We have a fully operational laboratory at our facilities, and we have a grid system of mosquito traps set up throughout Orange County. And we're constantly collecting mosquitoes to see how many are out there and testing them for disease. And that goes right back to, if we see too many of them and disease, we're gonna have to spray, which we have had to do a little bit recently. Not in Laguna Woods, you guys are doing a good job, but as soon as you slow down, that's when they're gonna get you, so stay active on that. Okay, what else do we do here? We sneak around Home Depot looking for water. We're gonna get to the different kinds of mosquitoes. We don't really, but we've been known to do that. You can see these bromeliads here. The way their leaves are kind of tilted up, they can preserve water there, and if any water sits for a week or more, that water can start having bacteria, which the female mosquitoes need to feed their young so they can grow up to bite us and continue the cycle. So if you have bromeliads, you might want to just check them, see if they have any water in it. Maybe hold them upside down every once in a while. Dump the water out. Again, about once a week, you want to look for sources around your house. Okay. Oh, all right. And here we go. Just a show of hands. Councilmember Lee, you are excused from this. Mayor Horn, you're excused from this. Who has heard of the Aedes aegypti mosquito? Raise your hand. Okay, all right, all right. 3. Who's heard of the ankle biter mosquito? Yeah, it's the same thing. The lab people tell me I have to say Aedes aegypti. I'm trying to talk to the public. I'm trying to say something that they can understand, because we all know about the ankle biters, right? They invaded about 5 or more years ago, and unfortunately, they're here to stay. They're small, you can't see them. They need just a little bit of water. They just need a bottle cap full of water to breed. It's not like the Culex mosquitoes, the southern house mosquitoes we're used to. They come out at dusk and dawn. They'll bite us all day long. They'll come into our house. They will breed in our house. If you have a leak under your sink, if you have a plant saucer where you overwater and that water sits, they'll breed right there. The good or bad thing about them is they don't have a good sticker. So while it seems like your ankle might have been bitten by about 5 or 18 mosquitoes, it's just that one mosquito trying to. So we got that going for us. So I like to say that the mosquitoes have been around since the dinosaurs. True fact. And I think they did it. I blame them for getting rid of the dinosaurs. We've solved that problem right here. And they've just been getting better at what they do, which is bite us and take our blood. So the ankle biters, right about now is when they start becoming active, and then they're going to be active till it starts to cool down in October, November. The Culex kind of already started, and hopefully we're done with them. The Culex, mostly we worry about West Nile virus. Birds are a reservoir of West Nile virus. They prefer to bite birds, so they'll bite a bird. No birds around. Okay, so that's what we worry about with them. Aedes, they like to bite humans. So we got that going for us again. Our concern there is when people travel to certain places where certain diseases are prevalent, and they come back and feel sick, well, they might have a disease like dengue or chikungunya, right? So when the healthcare agency tells us that someone, is tested positive for that, we'll go and try and make sure there's no mosquitoes around, because what can happen is that mosquito can bite me and then bite someone else. And then we have local transmission, which can get really bad really fast. And we haven't had that in Orange County. They've had it in Los Angeles. They've had it in San Diego. They've had it in Riverside. They've had it in San Bernardino, so all around us. So if we can keep our winning streak going here for a long time, I'd be really happy about that. All right. I already talked about these guys. They're bigger. They come out at dusk and dawn. We have had some West Nile concerns lately. We have been spraying in other cities in Orange County. So what can we do? I hope in this crazy, messed up, divided world that we live in, that we can all agree on one thing, and that's that mosquitoes suck, both figuratively and literally. And I hope that we can all get together and just dump out the standing water, help each other out. This is our motto this year, together we fight. We actually hired a plane last year to tow a sign saying mosquitoes suck all along the beach, and they came back around this way, hopefully to get people to come to our website and learn what they can do. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so if you look at that little bottle cap, you can see that there are mosquito larvae in there. Another trick they get is, you see how that bottle is indented right there? The sprinkler comes on, that could be enough water for them to breed. So cleanliness is next to godliness, people. All right. These are Aedes aegypti eggs, ankle biter eggs. They lay them right at the water level. They lay them below the water level, and they lay them above the water level. So those eggs can sit there for about 8 months and wait for that water to come up, and then boom, we got more mosquitoes out of nowhere, like magic. So if you see those kind of, looks to me like little black rice things, just scrub them off, right, and dump them out. That's how you would get rid of that. Okay. They can also breed down there in the underground, in the tunnels and the sewers underneath there. There's a lot of mosquitoes in there. Those are the Culex mosquitoes. We have a big bright yellow truck, or we have a couple of those that we drive around, and we have a needle gun that we point down there and we'll fumigate down there. So if you see a big yellow truck in the middle of the street, slow down. Don't run into them. They're doing good work over there. Okay. So if you can imagine how many mosquitoes, if you multiply how much water is in a bottle cap to that, that's a lot of mosquitoes. So this is a big concern for us, is unmaintained swimming pools. Again, we're a free service. We're glad to come out, and there are things we can do, products we can apply that will make, even though that water still looks bad, we can make sure that the mosquito larvae in there kind of live in a Peter Pan lifestyle where they never grow up. One year, I think it was last year, we wanted to see how many larvae we could find in a swimming pool. Wanted to see if we could find 1 million. We quit at 600,000, so we thought that was enough there. So, okay. So these are mosquito fish. We have these available. These little guys will eat mosquito larvae. If you put them in a large enough water feature, maybe a pond or maybe a big fountain or unmaintained swimming pool, they will just eat those mosquito larvae and just keep on going and reproducing and be happy. We just can't let them get into a natural ecosystem, because then they'll take over that. And they are also not meant to be used for bait. So if you want one, give us a call. We'll come inspect and make sure it's a good home for it. So they're pretty cool. All right. So they look pretty small in your hands, but if you're a mosquito larvae, they look pretty big. So they do a good job at what they do. Okay. All right. So we have a pilot project that we're trying out in Mission Viejo right now. It's called the sterile insect technique. There's different methods, but the idea is that you sterilize the males, right? Because we know that the females bite. What do the males do? They sit around and drink nectar. Am I right, guys? Am I right?
Like drones.
So what we do is we separate the males from the females. The males are a little smaller. And then we take them to the mosquito TSA, crank up the x-ray, and we sterilize them. And then we release an abundance of them, more sterile mosquitoes than there are in the natural. And they outcompete the females for mating. And yay, no mosquitoes are born. So that's a project we're working on. It shows great promise around the world. But it is expensive. So we're trying it out to see how it works here for the moment. Okay. And thank you. This is my information, ocvector.org. If you have any questions about anything related to any kind of animal, or if you're having problems with mosquitoes or rats, please give us a call. We're here to help. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Do you have any information about CRISPR gene therapy that might be used to modify the mosquitoes so they don't carry deadly diseases?
So that is a method of the sterile insect technique. There's 3 different ways to do it, right? We talked about I call it X-ray, the X-ray method. There's a Wolbachia it's a enzyme that can be stuck into the mosquitoes, and that'll prevent them from being able to breed. And then there is genetic modification that is also another way to sterilize them. So we are not using that. All 3 of them are safe and proven, but we're just looking at the X-ray method.
I would think that would be cheaper.
Yeah. I think Florida is using the gene modification, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. There's pretty much every vector control district is looking at some way, just another tool in the toolbox. The X-ray technique has been used for decades for the Mediterranean fruit fly.
Right.
So they do the exact same thing. They sterilize the males. They chill them so that they can compact them a little bit. And what they do is they fly out of Los Alamitos Joint Forces training base, and they drop them over citrus fields that are infected with Mediterranean fruit flies. They unfreeze. They get warm as they come down, right? and they fly around, they mate with the females and don't produce as much offspring. We don't have it like that. We can't afford airplanes, so as you saw, we use buckets. We open up.
And people don't need to worry because the males don't bite.
Very important thing, yes. They don't bite, and they've just been x-rayed, so they're not gonna grow two heads or anything like that, or do anything crazy. Yes,
Does
ma'am.
anyone else?
No, I was going to ask you, when you get a report, you automatically come out, right? But other than that, do you have a routine?
We do, that's a good question, yeah.
Yes.
we
To the
d-
Laguna Woods City.
Right.
Of Laguna, yeah.
We have inspectors that are assigned to specific areas throughout Orange County, so they get to know the area around Laguna Woods or Anaheim or wherever. And some of our inspectors have been with us for 30 years. We're a really good place to work, and they know every area that's an obvious area that's been there for a while, and they'll put it on their schedule to treat it. A lot of times the treatment will last about 45 days, so they'll put it on their schedule to come once a month. It may still look yucky, but they put some stuff in there that's environmentally friendly, and it'll prevent the mosquitoes from growing.
And if there's any unusual activities, they will alert the area.
Definitely, and we're
Yeah.
glad to come out. If you see something new, even if it's something we've seen, we want to go and make sure that everything's okay. Our job is to keep people safe.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a couple of questions. One of them is birds are part of the vector, but are other animals that live, because we have a lot of animals, wildlife in our area. You know of that the mosquitoes themselves, that was my first.
I'm not aware of anything other than mosquitoes. There's some concern about typhus. Long Beach has had some typhus cases, and typhus is spread from fleas.
Right.
So we would just want to say we don't have that concern here in Orange County, but we do want to let people know, how they can stay safe from fleas and the potential of that. And that's keep your animals on flea control. That will also prevent them from getting heartworm, which is spread by mosquitoes. And don't feed wild animals. I know, if they're wild, let them go do their thing. But while they're out there in the wild, they can pick up all kinds of stuff. And that's pretty much how typhus is probably going to come into the homes and stuff like that. So best to just kind of leave.
Is typhus to typhoid?
Excuse me?
Both typhus and typhoid and cholera and Shigella, all of those, I think, are from bacteria, and it's human waste bacteria is where it actually starts. It's my understanding. But my other question had to do with there's I can't think of the name. Chris, what is the name of the street that's perpendicular to the dog park on, pardon? No, that's parallel. Pardon? Might be Peralta. Right there is I think it's stormwater runoff. I don't believe it is irrigation runoff, but there's I wonder if you've checked that water, if you're aware of it. The water, I know it happened to be on that street. Today's Wednesday, it was yesterday, and I looked at it, I was really surprised. It's not real deep, but it has a tremendous amount of slime around the edges of it, and that water eventually goes over to the edge of Moulton and then eventually goes over to Crossline. I don't know if you know where I'm talking about.
I don't, but dog park I can remember. It's
Okay,
Right, it's right.
I'm going to suggest you might want to look there because I noticed it and I was kind of curious about it. I did notice the fire authority a couple of weeks ago were using the water at Crossline for practicing because I happened to look up and see the water shooting and I thought, what in the world is going on over there? And you were using it. There's a tremendous amount of water at Crossline right now. It's really full. But on the east side of Moulton, there is water near it's not totally full. That thing can get really full. Right now it has water near Moulton, and it's it's deep because everything's green, so you know the water is down deep. But then you get to Ridge and Peralta, and you will see it standing there. And I probably a couple foot and a half, 2 feet deep maybe there. Anyway, that's an area that I check. And then my last comment had to do with we're all vectors. I'm surprised humans aren't on there too because they're a tremendous vector. And of course, we know density increases the problem of our health. I frankly feel that we had a real huge problem, and Chris thought it was about 10, 12 years ago when we had so many rats, they were chewing the wiring on people's cars. And I can tell you now that the rats are way down. Rats and mice are way down, but I can't guarantee the whole community, but I can tell you at the gate 9, 10 area, in fact, even the rabbits are down, and that's because of the coyotes. So this whole thing is a cycle of, and when one gets out of line, it's trying not to interfere with it is very difficult for you, I'm sure. But I have to tell you that they have been very effective in keeping the rats down. But how long does it take them to recover?
Well, like you say, it depends on multiple factors.
Right.
Our biggest concern is wintertime, when they're going to look for a place to nest, right? So that's when we start getting a lot of calls, especially if there's a bunch of them out there because they're trying to come into people's homes.
I wonder how long it takes a rabbit population to recover too, because I can tell you they're both way down, and it definitely was the coyotes were the factor in that.
Just got to take care of your little dogs too.
Complicated, isn't it?
Keep them safe. Yeah.
Challenge for you. I appreciate all the work you do on that, but you might think, if you haven't checked the one on, it's on your list, but I'm just bringing it up if you have not.
I'll let our inspector know. The product that they put in there, you won't see any change in the water, but it will prevent it.
Problem. I just noticed the condition of the water, and I was really kind of surprised. The water on the other side is moving around a bit, but that area right next to Peralta, there's a stop sign there, so I happened to notice it, and I was really surprised at how it looked.
Thank you for letting me know. We'll check it.
For even considering that. I appreciate it.
Okay, I have a couple of comments. First of all, horses are also subject to the mosquito bites and should be just as careful as dogs. But mosquito bits that people can put in their plant saucers and in the saucers that are around the community that are overfilled, you can't spray everywhere. People could put those in there, right? Do you still
Right,
think that's a good idea, the mosquito bits?
That's a product you can pick up at a home improvement store, and that's what we would use, and we use a lot. The actual active ingredient is called Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, and I finally learned how to say that. And what that does is it prevents the mosquitoes from growing up. It's naturally occurring soil bacteria, very similar to what was in the yogurt that we had this morning. So it's safe, unless you're a mosquito, a black fly, or a midge. So none of those are too popular.
And I was curious exactly if you have been getting calls on rats.
Oh, we get calls on everything. Yeah,
I mean, here in the community.
From
right.
We haven't received too many calls from Laguna Woods lately, which is good. Anaheim, we've been getting a lot of calls. We've been treating a lot over there, and kind of in the central northern region of Orange County is where we're seeing most things right now.
Because there's a lot of food grown in the village, fruit that falls from trees. People grow tomatoes and cucumbers and squash around their manors, and all those things bring rats and squirrels, and then the coyotes come and eat them, hopefully. But I was wondering if you were, because I know they eat wires and stuff on that too, and get in your house. So I was wondering if you'd had many lately, and I guess you haven't. Mosquito and Vector Control has great information on their website. If anybody ever wants to go on there and look, it's very interesting. It is. So it's exciting, your sterile insect technology program. If there's no other questions, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, public comments on non-agenda items. This is the time and place for members of the public to address the City Council on items not appearing on this agenda. Pursuant to state law, the City Council is unable to take action on such items, but may ask clarifying questions of the speaker, engage in brief discussion, refer items to city staff, and/or schedule items for consideration at further meetings. Do we have any requests to speak? Okay, public comment is open if anyone would like to say anything. No. Okay, seeing none. public comments is closed. And so now we go to our city treasurer's report. Liz?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
I will be reporting on the treasurer's report as of July 31st, 2025. The total cash and investments as of July 31st ended at $14,376,365. The general fund operating cash and investments had an ending balance of almost 7.8 million, and the general fund reserves of 3,753,700. Special revenue funds had an ending balance of 2,828,472. Cash and cash equivalents had an ending balance of almost $500,000. The pooled money investment accounts consist of LAIF with an ending balance of $6,328,140, and our new pool investment in the California Asset Management Program, also known as CAMP, had an ending balance of $1,846. We will further discuss the new investment later in the meeting. Investments in certificates of deposits had an ending balance of $6,549,871. During the month of July, we had a transfer from LAIF to the city's checking account of $1.5 million. $500,000 of that was for cash flow purposes, and $1 million was to fund the opening balance in CAMP. We also had one CD which matured in the principal amount of $245,000. The city's trust funds as of July 31st, the OPEB trust account had $151,627 with a net gain of $351. And the pension liability trust account had an ending balance of $298,754 with a net gain of $639. Staff's recommendation for City Council is to receive and file the city's treasurer report for the month of July 2025.
Okay. Does any of the council have any comments on that part of the report?
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? I know it was receive and file. So can we roll right into the quarterly report?
Yes.
Okay.
So the quarterly report is as of June 30, 2025. I just want you to be aware that these amounts are unaudited and they are not official. We are still accruing revenues and expenditures currently as of today. So these amounts are not final. But as of June 30, for the general fund revenues, we had almost 9 million, and they are well over budget. This is mainly due to the higher interest income that we received, and also the cannabis business tax, which we received a total of $1,053,638 for the full year of fiscal year 24-25. And those numbers are final for the cannabis business tax. We have yet to receive the final sales tax payment for the fiscal year and also the final franchise fee. So those amounts are also going to be a little higher. Expenditures of almost 7.5 million are below budget, and this is due to less spending across most departments. Transfers of 265,914 to the general fund from the capital projects fund was made to return unspent funds from completed capital projects, and transfers out in the amount of 1,740,852 were made to the S&P fund and to the capital projects fund throughout the year. Both transfers are consistent with the city council approvals. And as of right now, we have an approximate ending fund balance in the general fund for 10.6 million. And this, as I said, can change it could either increase or decrease. Moving on to special revenue funds. Revenues are at 1.8 million. We are still expecting monies from reimbursable grants, which will be received in fiscal year 25-26. And we are also still need to recognize revenue in the federal grants fund for expenditures incurred during the fiscal year. This will be approximately $668,000. Expenditures ended at 2.9 million approximately. And these are also in line with the budget so far. Approximate ending fund balance for special revenue funds is at 1.9 million. Capital projects funds have a balance of 163,640. This includes interest income and intergovernmental revenue from other cities. Expenditures are at 808,294. And there are several projects in progress, so a lot of the appropriations for such projects are going to be rolled over to fiscal year 24-25. And the approximate ending fund balance for capital projects is at 1.2 million. Interest income received as of June 30th for all funds was approximately 605,000 for all funds. Additional detail is included in the quarterly financial report, which can be found in the agenda packet.
Okay. Congratulations on the award again this year for great financial reporting.
Oh, thank you.
Are there any comments? Okay, well, I have one. I would like to say that now that it's a year and we have this $1,053,000 in the cannabis business, I think it's time to take a moment and say what a great decision most of the board made. We not only has this put more money in the city's coffers that we can then turn around and spend in the way that we want, whether it's on residents, on projects, whatever. They've been great neighbors. They donate, they participate in our events. There have been no call-outs. This was good for our city. They employ our residents. The art is lovely. They have great security there. I was just there the other day. It's beautiful, it's clean, it's bright, it's fresh. And so now that it's a year and none of the problems that were predicted have come to pass, I just think it's time to call that out and say, well done. Well done on the ordinance that was written, well done on the way we're applying the money. So I'm very happy about that. So do we need to vote on this, or can we go right to the
It'll be the
presentation?
same as the last one, so it'll be a motion to receive and file that quarterly financial
Okay,
report.
is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye, great. Okay, so now we have a presentation, looks really interesting, of the California Asset Management Program. And
Yes. So with the recent closure of the OSIP account with the county, we reviewed several investment alternatives to ensure we continue managing the city's funds responsibly and in line with our investment policy. Following our evaluation, we opened an investment pool account with the California Asset Management Program, also known as CAMP, and have funded it with an initial $1 million. We'll be closely monitoring the account over the next 30 days to evaluate its performance. Based on that review, we anticipate making additional investments and will continue to diversify between CAMP and LAIF, depending on how interest rates and the market conditions develop. Today, we have Craig Conley and Kyle Tanaka from CAMP to tell us more about the investment pool and answer any questions that you may have.
hi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So I'm here to discuss and answer your questions regarding the CAMP liquidity program. I will go through the slide. If any questions pop up, feel free to get my attention, I'll happily answer them then, or we can wait to the end of the presentation. So camp has been around since 1989. So we have a very long track record, over 36 years right now. This chart gives you an idea of the growth camp has had over the years and how it's grown today to be a pool over $20 billion in assets. Next slide, please.
Was that billion?
So, as I mentioned, camp is run by PFM Asset Management Group. PFM Asset Management Group oversees 18 different LGIP programs across the country, California camp being one of them. They first started in Pennsylvania back in 1981, so they have a very long track record of running the LGIPs throughout the country. And as I mentioned, the one in camp they've been running and managing since 1989. Next slide. Okay. Regarding safety and the camp pool itself, the camp pool is rated AAA rated by S&P. The pool does provide same-day liquidity. If you get a wire instructions in by 11, the funds will be back in the city's account by that afternoon. You have unlimited wires and ACH. ACH would be a next-day wire. We do have an online account management portal, which the city has enrolled in and using already. You do have an option to set up multiple accounts, multiple sub-accounts as well. If you had bond proceeds or other sub-accounts, you do have that option to set those up with camp as well. There's not a minimum investment. The interest is paid monthly, so it's calculated, simple interest calculation, paid out, or calculated up to the last business day of the month and paid out the first business day of the following month. There are no expenses. And as I previously mentioned, we do have specialized services for bond proceeds. So if you do have bond proceeds and you want to put them to work, we can use camp to do so. Next slide. This is just a little, I know you're probably using LAIF already. So this is a little comparison contrast between camp and LAIF. Camp does have a daily valuation. We maintain $1 NAV every day and have for the entire existence of the camp pool. LAIF uses a monthly valuation. We are AAA rated by S&P. Our weighted average maturity on the handout that we provided, I think it's 48 days right now. So our weighted average maturity of 48 days compared to camp with 257 days. And to that, our weighted average maturity will always be 60 days and under. So we're always going to be in the front end of the yield curve, as opposed to LAIF, which goes a little bit longer term. Our interest pays monthly, as opposed to LAIF, which pays us quarterly. And the investment limit, you're maxed out up to 10% of our pool. So right now, with our pool being at $20 billion, you'd be capped out at $2 billion, as opposed to LAIF, which has a $75 million cap per account. On top of the pool itself and our history, we do follow GASB 79 compliance as well. And what that means for you, the GASB 79 regulations that we use, obviously it's going to speak to the credit quality of our portfolio. Obviously, the portfolio is always going to follow California code to begin with. We always maintain enough liquidity. We have to maintain at least 10% liquidity in the portfolio on a daily basis and 30% on a weekly basis to handle all withdrawals. As I mentioned briefly on the last slide, the portfolio maturity is also overseen by GASB 79 regulations. Our weighted average maturity will always be 60 days and under, so always be at the front end. The maximum maturity that we can even have in the portfolio is 1 year. So that is all regulated by GASB as well. And then we always maintain and seek to maintain a stable NAV of $1, which we've done every single day for the past 36 years. You know what, Kyle, you want to address this slide? Because I know this is your slide that you prepared, so you are the expert on this slide. So I'll bring you into the
Sure.
conversation.
Thank you, Greg. And it's nice to be with you all virtually. Thank you for allowing us to present today. Really kind of taking a step back and looking at safety and liquidity, right, for your new investment option. This slide aims to kind of talk about both. So Craig has mentioned that the camp pool, which the city is currently invested in, follows GASB 79. And you can see requirements on the left-hand side. And on the previous slide, Craig had just covered some of those. He also mentioned that the fund is rated by S&P AAA. That's the highest rating for local government investment pools. Excuse me. What this slide aims to show is that both of those are kind of the safety overlays as it result or as it pertains to the program. So you can see, just picking on the top bar there, there's a no liquidity requirement in the S to maintain that S&P rating. However, the fund does have liquidity requirements by following GASB 79. So kind of just can't be in a local government investment pool. I think of, as a shareholder, your first kind of overlay of responsibility is the 9 trustees that are a part of the Joint Powers Authority. That's really the first line of defense. They're fiduciaries not only to the program, but to the city because the city's invested. Then when you take it a step further, you have this additional overlay of kind of safety within the program by both with the fund electing to follow GASB 79 and maintaining the rating by S&P. I'll make mention of, I wish kind of sometimes that there's a third column here, because the last bar, stress test, you see there's no requirement to stress test the portfolio to follow GASB 79, and S&P requires periodic stress tests. Kind of the board or the camp board of trustees being an additional kind of fiduciary to the city or to the program, they actually require PFM Asset Management as the investment advisor and the administrator to provide stress tests on the portfolio every quarter. And so every quarter when the board meets for its regular meetings, we present stress tests to them on just different interest rate scenarios, credit events of really trying to challenge when that pool could potentially break the buck or break that stable NAV that Craig talked about. So really, I kind of look at this slide as like the overview of safety when it comes to the entire program itself. So thank you, Craig, for letting me say a word on that. And kick it back to you.
Thank you. Again, this is the disclosures regarding the S&P AAA rating. The Fitch AAA rating refers to our term portfolio, which would also be an option for the city. So if the city would wanted to look at termed options, whether anywhere from 60 days out to a year, we can provide those options for you as well. And they would be AAA rated by Fitch. More disclosures. You can review if you're having a sleepless night. I think that is probably it. Were there any questions that we can expound on or answer for you?
No, go ahead. I don't see any. Did you have a question?
I did have a question, but I was waiting to make sure someone else wasn't ahead of me. Can you show us in long-term a historical of how well you've done? Do you have something that shows that?
We do. We do have a 10-year historical return, which we can, I don't know if we can share it right now, but we can certainly send it to you. And it's available on our camp website as well.
I also
I was going to make,
Go ahead.
sorry. I was just going to say that every month we publish a 5-year monthly distribution yields history on the fund. And so that's going to be probably the place to go. Craig's right. It's available on our website, as well as all of the holdings on the fund as well. I'm a big proponent of transparency and can't be in a joint powers authority and public agency itself. The city has access to those monthly reports, or any member of the public as well. Oh, there you go. Perfect timing. Liz, if you pulled that up, that was amazing.
Thank you for doing that.
And these are usually available by, I would say, call it the 5th business day of the month. Holdings are usually available by the 15th business day of the month. And then the city monthly statements are available on the first business day.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have any more comments or questions? Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, it's a receive and file. So I just didn't know whether anyone had any other questions. If not, thank you, Liz. Do you have anything else? No.
There weren't.
We had a question from the audience for Kyle and Craig about the fees charged by camp.
Yeah, so I can handle that. I'll take the investment option that the city's currently invested in. We'll leave term off to the side unless the city wants to invest or goes down that route. So the camp pool, on that kind of bullet point slide that showed the characteristics of the camp pool or the cash reserve portfolio, you saw a bullet point that says no out-of-pocket fees or direct costs. That's because the fees on the program are taken off of the total assets under management of the pool. So it's going to be most pooled investment vehicles. I would say based on the assets under management and kind of the fee schedule of the fund, right now it's right around 9 basis points. I usually tell folks to round up to 10 basis points. What that means in terms of kind of just using the yields that you just saw that Liz popped up on there, you would make the assumption that all those yields would be about 10 basis points more, 0.10% more. However, the beauty with our program is that for any of the yield information that we're posting, it's already going to be net of fees. So if I just pull out kind of today, our 7-day yield was at, I believe, 4.40. That's our net 7-day yield. You would be making the assumption that our fees, let's call it, on the pool would be right around 4.5%. Hopefully that answers the question in the audience.
Can you come up to the podium and talk so that
The follow-up question was how that compares to LAIF's fees, if you're aware off the top of your head.
Yeah, so I get this question a lot. I'm not going to quote their exact yield because I don't have it for today. They have it on their website, but roughly probably about a 10 basis point spread right now between LAIF and camp. So I believe the last yield I saw for them was right around 4.28%.
All right.
And I should make one additional point. Even if all things were being equal and the yields were right on top of each other, kind of the benefit in terms of the overall structure of the program, since camp is actually paying your dividends or interest accrued monthly, you're compounding faster on that. So even with yields kind of right in line with one another, you'd have kind of a little bit longer of a runway too with the program.
Okay, thank you.
Or our program.
All right. Any other questions for Kyle and Craig before we let them go?
No. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you all. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay, so that was receive and file. So we'll go on to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council or staff requests that specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and consideration of action. Members of the public may address the city council on items appearing on the consent calendar regardless of whether an item is removed for separate discussion and consideration of action. Would anyone like to remove anything from the consent calendar?
No, but could I make a comment? I noticed on the payment register, not without taking it off, I don't want to do that, that it was considerably higher, but I looked and I saw the 3 major payments accounted for that whole thing, and 2 of them were for safety, and the other one was for the pavement management, as I recall.
Yeah, so what happens at the end of each fiscal year is the sheriff's department trues up their invoicing, and so that last payment is delayed and ends up rolling over into when we would normally make the next regular payment as they're calculating final credits. So if you also noticed, one of those 2 payments was less than it had been for the rest of the fiscal year because we got the proceeds of that credit offset against that invoice. But yes, this time of year, we end up with a doubling up of law enforcement costs. And then we did have just a timing thing where we paid a more significant sum of money towards a capital project.
Thank you for addressing that.
So would someone like to move the consent calendar, please?
I so move.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move over to the public hearings. So we get to the false security system alarm fees.
All right.
Staff report.
So the first public hearing today has to do with a request for the City Council to modify its false security system alarm fee. The existing fee is $141 per response. This is a fee that the County of Orange charges when one of two things is true. Either there's an intentionally set false alarm, which is very rare, or there are multiple false alarms at the same address in the same calendar year. So the fee starts to be charged with the third false alarm at that address and then for subsequent false alarms. It is intended to offset the cost of the Sheriff's Department responding to a call for service that it didn't need to respond to, right? These are false alarms. So the existing fee was established in 2020 at $141 per response. The Sheriff's Department, I believe, is updating this fee every 5 years. And so based on their most recent cost study and the Board of Supervisors' adoption of that fee for unincorporated areas, the new fee that they're charging is $209 a response. The City Council has technically a variety of options available. You could keep the fee at $141, you could increase it to $209, or you could do away with the fee entirely. The Board of Supervisors adopts the fee for unincorporated areas. They've done that at the $209 level, and that cost study allows us to charge that same fee if we would like as well. These fees are collected by the County of Orange, but then 100% of that fee ends up coming back to the city. It's credited 2 years later against our law enforcement contract cost. So for example, in the current fiscal year, there is a credit of $2,256 against our existing law enforcement contract cost for fees that were collected in fiscal year 23-24. There are not many fees collected, which is a good thing, right? There aren't that many repeated or problematic false alarms. There were a total of 16 false alarms resulted in fees being collected in 23-24, resulting in that approximately $2,500 credit in the current year. So based on what false alarms have hovered at in the past, we expect that increasing the fee by that $68 per response would be about $1,000 or less in credits per year. It's a little hard to estimate, obviously, because in a perfect world, there are no false alarms. But looking at history, it's about $1,000 or so a year in additional credits to offset the actual cost of law enforcement resources being diverted from the duties they already have to respond to a false alarm. In the case of Laguna Woods, most of these false alarms are business related. If you think of a business security system compared to a residential security system, they tend to be larger, more complicated with more fail points. And so what typically happens is there's a faulty sensor, there's something wrong with the system itself, resulting in that alarm being tripped several times, the Sheriff's Department needing to respond to it. And this fee, as much as anything, is also, I think, practically speaking, an incentive for those business owners, or in the case of a residential alarm, that resident, in contacting their alarm company and getting it fixed sooner rather than later. Our recommendation today, there is an opportunity for public testimony, so we'd recommend opening the public hearing, receiving any public testimony. After closing the public hearing, our recommendation is to adopt a resolution titled "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laguna Woods, California, adopting an increased false security system alarm fee and determining and certifying that the fee is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act." We are recommending moving to that increased $209 fee on, I believe it's September 8th. The Sheriff's Department requires a little bit of advance notice before to give them time to update their system and so forth, when that fee would start to be charged. I just want to double check the date for you. Yes, September 8th, 2025 would be the first day that increased false security system alarm fee would be charged. So having said that, I'll turn it back over to the mayor for the public hearing and then any council discussion.
Okay, all public hearing is open. Any public comments on this, on false alarms? Seeing none, I'll close it and I'll go to council. Who has something to comment? No?
I did have a question. It had to do with, do you notice historically with certain types or certain companies that have more problems than others historically?
I haven't looked at that detail at that granular level, but I'll say that it tends to hover around a similar number of alarms per year. So I would guess that it's probably not just one company or one alarm system. It's mostly, and I'll just speak from my own experience with my personal security system, tends to be related to the age of the equipment.
Okay.
Right? I mean, sensors fail, the
Right.
more touch points you have, right? The more windows.
You think of a system?
I mean, I would say that, like, if we use City Hall as an example, the system itself is pretty solid. We've had it for a long time, but we do periodically, just, a couple times a year, we'll have issues with individual sensors or, just the alarm spitting off weird trouble signals that the solution seems to always be come out and replace the touch point and it works again. So
How often do you have to replace those?
I would say we only have one or two a year. I mean, it's not, and that's on individual touch points. There's obviously a lot of them in a building, but once you have one faulty sensor, it's going to keep being faulty. So that's, I think, what you see when you see this fee being charged is there's a faulty sensor and the business or the resident hasn't got the security company out there to figure out what the problem is and replace that component. There's always other things, right? But that's the common
Said
issue.
it was the third. I think it's the third when you start to charge.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that there's a warning. You had one.
Yep.
You had a second one, and so to me that seems an adequate warning. That
Yeah.
I don't know what else would be more.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, you just have to step back and say, law enforcement should be out there responding to actual calls for service and not, unfortunately, if a security system goes off in the middle of the night, the sheriff's department's going to respond to it as if there's an intruder, right? It's a burglar alarm. It's meant to alert them to that type of behavior. So pulling resources to respond to that after you've had several warnings, it's like you're going to, with this fee, you'll at least pay for the cost of that response. And then hopefully that'll be a motivator for getting the system fixed.
Do we know that if all these call-outs were from 16 different businesses, or if it's one business that's repeating over and over and over?
I don't have that level of detail, but I would, and I'll look to Captain Ackerman, but I would be hard pressed to believe that it's just one business with a
'Cause that
high
would be
number
like
of
48
individual alarms.
calls.
I feel like that would get on our radar pretty quick if it was 16 from one address.
Yeah.
You want to step up to the mic and, yeah.
Good afternoon. In my experience, the number of calls just having 16 is fairly low, but that would probably be from a handful of businesses. And I don't have the exact data on this, but from my experience in patrol operations, you would probably have a handful, maybe 6 or 7 businesses that are getting a couple, and that would be the more likely situation.
Because it seems if there were 16, that would be 4 times 3 is 48 calls. And I was wondering where all those calls were coming from. It may be a small number, but it sounds like a big number. And so I was just curious.
And typically they're larger businesses. For example, when I was a deputy working in patrol operations, we had a large medical company that produced products for the medical industry, but they had numerous buildings, and every single day, every single morning, there would be false alarms. Every single shift, there would be multiple false alarms with this business. And a lot of it had to do also with employee access. Employees would enter the buildings, trip an alarm. They didn't know what to do with it, so they wouldn't call we would respond. An employee would leave at the end of the night and set the alarm as they were leaving, set the alarm off instead of properly leaving the building. And then we would respond and have to search a very large building to ensure that there was not an actual burglary going on, which would require 3 to 4 deputies, if not more, each time.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question to Chris. Now, when this alarm get used and the city get charged by the sheriff department?
No, so we're already paying for the cost of law enforcement. So the premise is that we're paying a couple $1 million a year for law enforcement,
Right.
but our expectation is that they're able to use their time to respond to actual calls for service.
Right.
Because this is an unnecessary call for service, it's a fee that's credited against what we're already paying for that deputy, for them
I see.
essentially having been taken out of real work for, false flag type of
Now,
issues.
if these alarms were caused by the private businesses, doesn't business get any responsibility of paying?
Well, they're the ones that pay this fee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're paying the 200, or right now they're paying $141
Yeah.
every time the sheriff's department comes out there, starting with that third time in
I
a calendar
see.
year.
I see, okay.
So, when we talk about fee setting, we're only able to set fees at a reasonable cost for service.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as Captain Ackerman just alluded to, like, the response can vary, right?
Yes.
If it's a small building, they may be able to clear it very quickly. On the other hand, if you're talking about a large medical facility, they may be there for a while trying to clear it.
Mm-hmm.
So the sheriff's department's cost study looks at kind of a reasonable middle ground for that. So some businesses, that $141 is going to be more of a deterrent to others, but either way, it's meant to try to recapture the cost for that
Cost,
response.
yes. Okay.
I had one more question for Sheriff Ackerman. Do you get many false alarm calls from the people that, let's say, wander on dementia, that either get out of their house, maybe they don't live with somebody? Do you get many calls like that? Because wouldn't that also count as a false alarm?
As a result of like a burglary alarm going off, or you're like just a
No.
false report of?
If somebody wanders away from a facility or from their home,
Right. We do take often, we get calls for that. I couldn't give you the exact numbers, but for the sheriff's department, anybody, if someone has some form of dementia or Alzheimer's, that would be considered a critical or at-risk missing person. And we would put a lot of resources into locating that person. It was not just a normal missing person. It's a much higher level response from our department.
good, thank
I
you.
thought perhaps your question had to do, that's a personal request. That's not grouped with the alarms. That's a separate thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
Well, I think, I think part of the question though is some people, if they have a spouse or someone else who tries to get out of the house, they may have an alarm system of some kind that seeks to alert them when that person is leaving the home. My understanding though is that most of those systems are not security systems. They're not burglar alarms. They're just audible tones in the home so that the other person is aware that like a door has been opened. But I think in a scenario where there was a security system being used for that with a central monitoring station somewhere else that was going to call the sheriff's department, I imagine that the sheriff's department would exercise a level of discretion on a case-by-case basis of whether it truly constitutes a false alarm. But I'm just not personally aware. Every time we've looked into this data, it has come back to us as it's mostly like business security systems failing or the kind of unintentionally tripping alarms issue. I'm not aware of any significant number that have been people using security systems to keep people with dementia or other health conditions inside the home.
We don't see those occurring during certain hours either, do we?
The false burglar alarms?
Likely to have false alarms in other hours?
Yes. As far as business goes, it's going to be nighttime hours, early morning hours, but very early, 0, 400, 4 a.m., 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. But yeah, they're typically after hours response calls with businesses. Residential alarms can be a variety of different time frames. I couldn't say that those are all night or day. That's pretty spread across the spectrum of hours. But business alarms calls are typically going to be after hours, especially false alarms.
I guess what I was thinking of was someplace like the adult daycare, somebody just pushing the door open and it would create a false alarm, whether there were people there or not, whether they left or not.
That wouldn't fall under the same type of false alarm and billing thing. If that was a situation where alarm went off, if someone was trying to exit or they hit a door that says don't leave, or we wouldn't charge on something like that, no.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Did we read the resolution?
Yeah, we read the resolution, so
I move the resolution.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes, okay.
thank you.
Thank you. So we come to pedestrian, bicycle, and skateboard regulations.
Okay. So I want to start off by saying that everything we're going to be talking about in this discussion applies to public streets and public right-of-way. We're not talking at all about regulations that would apply on private streets or private properties. So we're not talking about inside Laguna Woods Village at all. This is the use of, e-bikes, bicycles, rollerblades, skateboards, all of that on public sidewalks, public streets, public right-of-way, not private property. So taking a little trip back, in the 2023-2024 grand jury cycle, there was a report issued that the city was required to respond to, along with all other cities in Orange County, titled E-Bikes, Friend or Foe. That report, despite how it may have been characterized more recently in the press, that report actually found that there was a level of confusion being created because most of Orange County's 34 cities do not have regulations pertaining to e-bikes codified. That was creating confusion amongst e-bike riders, and a recommendation that grew out of that was that each Orange County city should adopt specific policies that define the rules of the road for e-bikes in their own communities. When the City Council approved its response to that grand jury report, you indicated that we would implement that recommendation, codifying rules of the road, which is what we're in part doing today. Now, I introduce it by saying this is where this item kind of started, right? This was the seed that grew into today's agenda item. But as we got into it, we ended up with an ordinance before you today that, yes, addresses electric bicycles, but takes a more comprehensive look at a very specific chapter of the municipal code. So from a staff perspective, we started with that grand jury report, took a look at its analysis and its recommendations. We then reviewed our own municipal code and very quickly zeroed in on chapter 8.12, which pertains to pedestrian, bicycle, and skateboard regulations. We looked at other jurisdictions' ordinances. We looked at first, the County of Orange's recently adopted ordinance, principally because that's an ordinance that the Sheriff's Department is familiar with and enforces in unincorporated areas. We also looked at other ordinances in South Orange County with a thought towards part of what the grand jury was trying to get cities to do was eliminate confusion. And so we were looking at how other cities in our area were regulating this and how we might be able to apply those same or similar regulations in Laguna Woods. And then finally, we did take a look at pending state legislation. There are quite a few assembly bills pending and actually that have been signed in recent months pertaining to, in particular, electric bicycles. And so we took a look at those to try to avoid codifying regulations that might conflict with future changes in state law. That's obviously always a moving target, but I did just want to highlight that we did take a look at what might be coming down the line. In the end, like I said, we decided to broadly update this chapter of the municipal code, not just related to e-bikes, but related to a whole host of modes of transportation on city streets. The code that we have on the books right now was adopted in 1999, shortly after the city's incorporation. So it largely tracks with what the County of Orange had on its books in 1999. There were a couple of minor changes made to try to make it more applicable to cities, but it is a dated section of the code that this effort provided an opportunity to take a comprehensive look at. We sought to focus on regulations that promote safety rather than outright prohibiting use. The California Vehicle Code allows e-bikes, bicycles, skateboards, et cetera, to be used on public streets. You don't have the ability as a city council to prohibit the use of e-bikes on public streets. There are sections of state law that allow you some latitude on adopting specific regulations related to the use of modes of transportation within the city. And so we tried to focus our efforts on things that would improve safety rather than say to a whole class of users of whatever mode of transportation that they can or cannot be somewhere. We also tried to codify regulations that are easy to understand and that would be fairly simple for the sheriff's department to enforce based on observation rather than on some sort of technical analysis. So we tried to identify objective factors that could be leveraged in that enforcement process. The proposed ordinance, if I kind of take a step back and look at it at a high level, really does three things. The first is that it aligns our regulations for bicycles with our regulations for electric bicycles. So your current municipal code already has a 5 mile per hour speed limit for the use of bicycles on sidewalks. Rather than create a separate standard for e-bikes, we've proposed extending that same 5 mile per hour speed limit to bicycles of all kinds, conventional bicycles, electric bicycles. We've also included a prohibition for people when riding bicycles or electric bicycles to use handheld electronic devices unless those devices are used in a hands-free mode. And then also pertaining to both bicycles and electric bicycles, we've included a prohibition on leaving those bicycles on public streets or in public right-of-way in a manner that would obstruct or impede either pedestrian or vehicular circulation. So sometimes you see this, again, usually in more touristy areas, beaches, things like that, where people might just leave a bicycle on the ground, go get a drink of water, take a break, whatever, but it's partially obstructing a sidewalk. It's, it's in a path of travel for someone else. So there would be a prohibition that would apply uniformly to bicycles and electric bicycles in that regard. Kind of the second area is we've included a prohibition on unsafe use of electric bicycles. And then we've drawn from a list that the city of Laguna Niguel codified in its ordinance to provide examples of what may constitute unsafe use, recognizing that it's ultimately going to be up to the individual sheriff's deputy to make a professional determination whether use of an e-bike is dangerous or unsafe or not. Our code provides that examples of unsafe use might include violations of the vehicle code. So there's already regulations in there, for instance, pertaining to when use of a helmet is required on an e-bike. We don't create new regulations requiring uses of a helmet in our regulations. We simply point to the vehicle code. And then it includes a list of other things like intentionally lifting one or more of the wheels in the air. It includes riding an e-bike against the flow of traffic in a bicycle lane, which obviously creates the possibility for conflicts between users in that bike lane. And then there's other things like carrying a passenger on an e-bike when it's only designed for a single person, standing on the seat of an e-bike because that's clearly not the design intent of the seat. So we've included that unsafe use category in there. And then the third thing, there is language in the existing code that, for some reason, allows the city manager to unilaterally prohibit bicycle use on sidewalks. I am not interested in having such authority. I believe if you're going to prohibit bicycle use on a sidewalk, it should come from the city council. And so I've deleted that language from the code as well. At this point, there's an opportunity for a public hearing. Any public testimony to be received after that public hearing. Our recommendation is to approve the introduction and first reading of an ordinance read by title with further reading waived, titled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Laguna Woods, California, amending Chapter 8.12 of the Laguna Woods Municipal Code pertaining to pedestrian, bicycle, and skateboard regulations, including but not limited to regulations pertaining to pedestrian movements and bicycles and other conveyances propelled by human power, such as skateboards and roller skates, as well as electric bicycles, and determining and certifying that the ordinance is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. I will note that we did receive one written correspondence in advance of the meeting, dated August 20th, 2025, from the Director of State Policy for an organization known as Streets for All, expressing support for some portions of the ordinance and then concerns for others. This letter was provided via email to all members of the council in advance of today's meeting, and it's been incorporated into the public record for today's meeting as well. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the mayor for the public hearing and then any council discussion.
Okay, public hearing is now open. Does anybody have anything to say about electric bicycles on sidewalks or bicycles? Seeing none, comes back to council. Anyone have anything to say about?
I see a lot of electric bicycles in the village, and I see some on the sidewalk. And I assume that the people who ride them in the village probably also bring them out to go to Stater Brothers or CVS. And I think it's not only is it necessary for us to respond to grand jury report, but I think it's a good thing to have the regulations because we have all these multimodal trails, and to the extent that we can encourage safe use of these bikes on the sidewalks where we also have pedestrians and walkers and other things, I think that's a good thing. So I think I'm glad we're implementing this.
Carol, did you have something to say?
I did. Go ahead, though. You sure? Did you have something? It looked like you did. Go ahead.
Sure. I just wanted to say, you know, I'm really pleased with this ordinance, and I'm also really happy that this is going to be enforced by the sheriff's department, because sometimes I see some violations and they go so quickly and so fastly that only a sheriff vehicle could catch them anyways. So I'm glad that we have some guidelines set. So.
Yeah, and I'll just note that the sheriff's department, I view this ordinance as another tool for them to use. They also have some abilities under the California Vehicle Code, depending on the nature of the violation, to cite. So this is another tool, but not the only tool that they have available for them.
I see this as important for three reasons. Number one, responding to grand jury. And number two, to update our code. But I also think it's logical that the sheriff's department would have a similar code throughout the county instead of having different cities have different speeds. And I happened to look some up, and I did notice one did have 8 miles an hour. All the others were 5, although it was in one general area. And I thought I wouldn't think that would be helpful, but I don't know. But I think in general that we should, since the sheriff's department already had a code, that we should be thinking that we're in compliance with the others and we're unified rather than having different ones. So this makes common sense. Thank you.
Would somebody like to move the first reading? So moved. Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay. We go down to City Council business, the League of California Cities 2025 General Assembly Delegates.
So I'll just introduce this item by saying that every year the League of Cities hosts a General Assembly meeting. This year's, like last year's, is in the city of Long Beach. It will take place on October 10th. At that General Assembly meeting, cities are able to appoint a delegate to vote on policy matters on their behalf. Typically, there are a couple of resolutions seeking to establish policy positions for the League of Cities. Cities are able to appoint a delegate, an alternate delegate, and a second alternate delegate. Only one of them gets to vote, obviously. There is no requirement if nobody attends the General Assembly. We don't have to have a delegate appointed. In this case, I'm aware that Mayor Pro Tem McCary plans to attend the conference, at which the General Assembly is a part of that. And so the recommendation today is just to appoint members of the council and/or staff to serve as a delegate, alternate delegate, and second alternate delegate at the League of California Cities 2025 General Assembly. But again, don't feel pressure to appoint 3 people if there aren't 3 people to appoint.
Well, I'd like to nominate Annie as our delegate to the convention, to the conference, I mean. And I thought you were going, Councilmember Lee. Okay, so you can be the alternate delegate, okay? Does anybody else have any? These are wonderful learning experiences, the League of Cities. No one else is going? Okay. Do we need to vote on this?
So yeah, it would be a motion to appoint Mayor Pro Tem McCary as the delegate and Councilmember Lee as the alternate delegate at the League of California Cities 2025 General Assembly.
Can I get? Also move. Thank you. Second? Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Good.
All right, that's unanimous.
Okay, so the next thing is the city manager employment agreement.
All right, I'm going to be giving the presentation on this one because this is involving the city manager's contract, so he can't give a presentation on his own contract. Under state law, we are required to give a report anytime the council is considering changes in the city manager's compensation, and so I am required to tell you that as part of this proposed amendment to Chris's contract, it would increase his salary from the current base annual salary of $208,396,026 per year to $225,067.96 per year. This came out of 2 closed sessions that you did earlier this year to do the city manager's annual performance evaluation, where it came up that the city council has not really done a salary survey in a very, very long time to look at compensation for city managers in South Orange County. And through that exercise, we determined that Mr. Macon's salary is quite a bit lower at this point than a lot of the surrounding city managers, really any of the surrounding city managers, even though he is the most seasoned of all city managers, except for one who is retiring this September. So we have prepared an amendment to the city manager's employment agreement for your consideration. We've also prepared 2 resolutions that would implement changes to the compensation resolution and the budget resolution to implement that change.
Thank you. So,
And there's an opportunity for public comments as well.
okay, public comments is open. Yay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kate.
Seeing no others, public comments are closed. Anyone on council have anything to say?
I do.
Okay.
The city council has met and discussed this, and frankly, we were a little embarrassed to realize that Chris was among the lowest paid city managers in Orange County, considering how highly we value his work and his contribution to the smooth and efficient running of the city. So I personally am very pleased with a manager's performance, and I want the whole city to know that. And I think he richly deserves to be paid commensurate with his experience and ability. And if you divide it up by the amount of hours that he spends, nights and weekends, working for the city, I think it comes out to about $10 an hour. So I certainly support this. Thank you.
Anybody else? I also support it really highly. if we had to, God forbid, something should happen to Chris and we had to replace him, it would be a huge jump in cost. We would never be able to replace him for anywhere near what he's getting now. And he's, I mean, you all saw the financial reports, you see the condition of the city. His value is obvious in our financials, in that we have no pension liability. We brought our own building and permits and inspections in-house. All the things that have been done through the years that have made this city what it is today, and that's in a position to do the things that we're in today. So, I'm glad that we can do this, and I'm glad that we're getting on a schedule. It was like the, what was it, permit fees that we hadn't done for a long time, and then all of a sudden we had to do it, and it was a huge difference, and we decided to do it every year so that there wasn't that big a discrepancy. And so I also feel embarrassed that we didn't think to do it more frequently, and I'm just very grateful for this, for the continued service for over the years. So can I get someone to move this?
I think I'd also like to make a comment. I think it's unfortunate that it falls on us, because it's our responsibility that we let this be so out of line, because it was out of line. And we don't want to be have the highest paid manager, but we don't want to be the lowest paid manager, and it was way out of line. So it does fall on us. We owe the city and Chris an apology that we didn't notice this, and it had to be brought to our attention. So that kind of is a reflection on our failures to do our job properly. Chris now is not the lowest paid, he is not the highest paid, and whether he's in the middle far enough is open for discussion, but certainly it's improved a situation that was incorrect. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll move the resolution.
I'll second. I just neglected to read the titles, so I'm going to do that, of the resolutions. This is something Chris normally does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now we're going to adopt the
Okay, so
resolution.
before you adopt them, I need to read the title so it can be adopted
Okay.
by title only.
Both.
I do.
Read all three.
I have to read all three. So Chris is so good at this.
Okay.
Here we go. Approve amendment number 1 to the city manager employment agreement with Christopher Macon, and authorize the mayor to execute amendment number 1 subject to approval as to form by the city attorney. 2, adopt a resolution titled A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laguna Woods, California, repealing resolution number 25-23 and establishing a compensation schedule and benefits for city employees, including the city manager and other local agency executives as defined in California Government Code Section 3511.1. And 3, adopt a resolution titled A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laguna Woods, California, amending and adopting the fiscal years 2025 through 27 budget and work plan for fiscal years 2025 through 26, commencing July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, and fiscal year 2026-27, commencing July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027, increasing general fund appropriations to provide the compensation set forth in amendment number 1 to the city manager employment agreement.
I'm going to have Alicia do it in the future.
Okay, sold. Okay. So it's been moved and seconded, or do we have to do that
Yeah,
again?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Okay. So city council reports and comments. This is the time and place for members of the city council to provide reports on meetings attended, including but not limited to meetings of regional boards and entities to which they've been appointed to represent the city, and meetings attended at the expense of the city pursuant to California Government Code Section 53232.3. Members of the city council may also make other comments and announcements. Coastal Greenbelt, Mayor Pro Tem McCary.
There has not been a meeting since we last met, so.
Okay. Then we get to Orange County Fire Authority. And there's been an operations meeting since we last met, but not a full board meeting. So Chris, roll the tape, please.
You want to do the video first? Okay. One moment.
I'm Fire Captain Sean Doran, and this is the quarterly size up. In this edition of the OCFA Quarterly Size Up, we'll take a look at emergency response statistics, highlight a few of the incidents, and share about some of our involvement in the community.
Serving Orange County from the canyons to the coast. The OCFA is your all-hazard fire department, and this is the Quarterly Size Up.
In the quarter covering May, June, and July, your OCFA firefighters responded to 45,272 incidents. To break that down a bit, we responded to 679 fires, 32,702 EMS calls, and 11,891 all-hazard calls, such as remote rescues, traffic collisions, technical rescues, hazardous materials responses, and various service calls. Let's take a closer look at this past quarter. On Sunday, July 6th, in the city of Santa Ana, firefighters responded as part of a 2-alarm assignment to a row of single-story apartments with heavy fire in middle unit and flames spreading throughout the building's attic space. Firefighters coordinated the interior attack with vertical ventilation and prevented the fire spread to adjacent buildings. On Monday, July 7th, residents on the ridge of Bluebird Canyon in Laguna Beach experienced every homeowner's worst nightmare: flames on the hillside below racing toward them. Minutes later, many of those same residents watched an overwhelming wave of firefighters arrive with speed and force by ground and air in a seamless interagency attack that saved their homes and community and prevented the fire from spreading into Aliso and Wood Canyons Wilderness Park. With the 1,000-gallon OCFA Firehawk, the full quick reaction force, and CAL FIRE fixed wing hitting the fire from above, the tremendous work of the firefighters on the ground was fully reinforced, and the fire was halted at just 4.6 acres with no structures damaged. On Thursday, July 3rd, in the city of Irvine, a construction worker was trapped with both legs pinned 6 feet down in a construction site trenched, prompting the call for a technical rescue response. With precision and skill, our technical rescue team safely extricated the person so our firefighter paramedics could quickly treat and transport him to the hospital. On Wednesday, July 9th, in the city of Garden Grove, firefighters responded to a serious multi-vehicle crash on the 22 freeway. Firefighters used extrication tools to free a trapped victim while our firefighter paramedics provided treatment to multiple patients. Thanks to the quick actions, all patients were treated and transported quickly. On July 9th and July 10th, the OCFA deployed 2 human remains detection K-9 teams to Texas and incident support team members to both Texas and New Mexico. As a sponsoring agency of FEMA Urban Search and Rescue California Task Force 5, we are proud to have served the communities devastated by the floods with compassion and professionalism. Our hearts remain with all those affected by this tragedy, and we remain ready to assist in any way we can. On Monday, May 19th, in the city of Yorba Linda, the crew of Engine 32 and an OCFA Emergency Command Center dispatcher reunited with a cardiac arrest survivor and his family. The life-saving began at home when his wife performed CPR with guidance by our calm and professional dispatcher. This provided a critical link before Engine 32 firefighters arrived to provide advanced life support. This is a powerful reminder how teamwork between family, dispatchers, and first responders truly saves lives. On Thursday, July 10th, our technical rescue firefighters trained in confined space rescue scenarios at our Irvine headquarters Regional Fire Operations and Training Center. We are proud to serve Orange County with technical rescue firefighters strategically positioned throughout our service area on Truck 56 in Rancho Mission Viejo, Truck 32 in Yorba Linda, Truck 61 in Buena Park, and Heavy Rescue 6 in Irvine. On Tuesday, June 17th, we introduced an airport rescue and firefighting crane at a push-in ceremony at John Wayne Airport, highlighting the powerful new addition to the OCFA's airport firefighting fleet. This crane responds to critical incidents and disabled aircraft that might impact arriving and departing flights and features increased lifting capacity, advanced safety technology, and enhanced speed and accessibility. On Thursday, July 17th, in the city of Mission Viejo, we officially opened the doors to OCFA's newest fire station, Fire Station 24. This state-of-the-art facility, home to Engine 24 and Truck 24, also has the capacity to support additional units when needed during major incidents. From integrated advanced technology to the most current firefighter health and safety enhancements, Fire Station 24 is proud to support the city and surrounding communities for generations to come. This brings us to Community Corner. This quarter, we were proud to participate in 60 school visits and 331 community events where we had the opportunity to share messages of safety and community partnership, including On Friday, May 30th, in the city of Tustin, we are proud to support HomeAid's annual diaper drive, which collects diapers and wipes for families experiencing homelessness or at risk for homelessness in Orange County. Our El Toro hand crew, joined by our community educators, collected donations and shared safety messages with the community. On Saturday, June 28th, in the city of Seal Beach, we joined with the City of Seal Beach Police Department, and community safety partners, including CERT and the Lions Club, as part of the Neighbor for Neighbor program, bringing the community together for an opportunity to coordinate communication and emergency preparedness. We are proud to be part of a community strengthening events that brings us all together. This wraps up the quarterly Size Up. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time.
And our operations meeting was at the new Mission Viejo fire station, and there's some pictures from that. And you saw in there the decontamination room where they can shower off all that, the fire retardant or any hazardous materials that get on their clothing or on them, and they do wash all that stuff there. On the right is their equipment room. On the left is their new ladder truck. The doors are really nice. They don't roll up the way fire doors would. They can be slower. These open like on a hinge, like an accordion, and just out. Those hoses attach to the fire engine magnetically so that when they roll out of the station, those hoses disconnect. There's a countdown clock from the minute they get a call. And the buttons on the right are so they can change the lights on the median, and the rest of our committee took a pole down to the first floor. We were up seeing the rooms, the dorms up on the second floor, and they went down the pole. There are 3 methods. You can grip it with your feet, with your legs, or you can just wrap it around. It was a whole instruction. I walked. So this was their kitchen. It's beautiful. They have all these refrigerators and they cook. The table was magnificent. It was a gift from the contractor. On the right is a piece of the wall of the old fire station that they cut out of the wall and mounted it. They're the Cuckoos. I don't know why that's their name, but they call it the Cuckoo's Nest. That's in the lounge. So it was really nice. The guys are wonderful there. That's very cute. So it was great to see the fire station and to meet all the people over there. That's my report. Okay, the Orange County Library Advisory Board, Councilmember Moore.
The Orange County Library, of which we are a member, continues to offer all kinds of services during the summer, including free lunches for children and all kinds of activities. In addition, they continue to bring in, they have activities right here at our library. They also are bringing in authors for speaking engagements. And on September 25th, I hope you'll mark your calendars because it's a Thursday evening, and not at our library, but at the Laguna Hills Community Center. And one of Ramesh Joshi's daughter, Alka, is now becoming a very famous author, and she will be speaking. So it's for our community even. So I hope that you have some opportunity to attend. That's September 25th, and you can check with the library over here and find out there are other authors that are coming to speak too. So the library continues to be a leader in Orange County. Popular and lots of books to offer. In addition to the book clubs, by the way. Go ahead.
Okay, next is Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control. Do you have a separate report, or was that included?
No, we didn't have a meeting.
Oh, okay. I got 2 mosquito bites at the Mission Viejo. So there's the report.
They have to report it.
Okay, next is the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency. Councilmember Connors.
Sure. This agency is headed by a director, Ryan Chamberlain, that we hired 2 years ago. He was the district supervisor for Caltrans over this district, and so he's very well connected. We, like the city just did, the toll roads recently did a performance review and reviewed his contractual terms, and he was also being underpaid compared to other transit agencies here in the Southland. And so he got a very good report and also got a raise. One of the best things he has done is to break the negotiation logjam with Caltrans and OCTA regarding the flyover at the 241-91. And at our recent meeting, we authorized the signing of the final agreements regarding how 4 agencies, the Orange County Transit Authority, Caltrans, Riverside County Transportation Commission, and the toll roads, dividing up who's in charge of building this, who's in charge of maintaining it, who's in charge of paying for it, which is the toll roads. And now we expect the contract to go out to bid before the end of this year and construction to start at the beginning of next year. It'll take about 3 years to complete. It's being called the Express Connector, but we would probably call it a flyover. And this is to mitigate the issues that we have with traffic backup where the 241 North meets the 91 East for people going to Palm Springs or Las Vegas or Riverside. And there's a backup there that extends often for miles and miles, and it can take like an hour to get through, especially on a Friday afternoon. So this is expected to probably cut those times in half. It's not going to get rid of all of the traffic because 91 just carries a lot of traffic and there's a limit to how much you can feed into it. But it'll go directly from the toll road to the center toll lanes on the 91 East. And there will be a separate toll to use that flyover. So everybody who's driving there can make their own decision. Am I willing to pay another $5 or another $7 to avoid 30 or 40 minutes of waiting? And we expect a lot of people will. So that's a big step for us and we're really happy about it.
Thank you. South Orange County Watershed Management.
We have not met. We'll meet coming up.
Okay. And there was no meeting for the Community Bridge Builders, and they're going to be involved in Peace Day. Are there any other comments or reports? Anyone else?
I attended a 2-day conference that was offered by Joint Power Insurance Authority. Our city is one of the 126 members of JPIA. The presentation was given about the role of JPIA, protecting our public agency against claims and losses, and their approach to risk management, claim management, and membership services. And because we are all new members, there were about 25 to 30 of us. We had quite a bit of discussions about the role and the relationship and the challenges as a new council member. After hearing about many comments from my colleagues regarding their conflicts with their city managers and city staff and other council members on their own board, I feel extremely fortunate that I'm working with our council members and the city manager and the city staffs, and I'd like to thank you for being respectful, responsive, and make me feel at home. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Annie, did you have something?
Yes.
I did attend last month the JPIA annual meeting of the board of directors, and at that meeting, the board elected 3 officers, one the president, who was, and 2 other incumbent officers. They were all elected unanimously. There was no opposition. There was a report given about the new building and how that's coming along, but there was also a reminder about the upcoming JPIA annual conference, which is going to be in Oceanside in the first week of October.
That'll be nice down there. Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, did you have something else? Okay. I also wanted to comment at the JPIA conference, and I think it's what you're finding certainly with the independent districts, that they have formed financial programs, but they're outside of California. And I certainly know that ours does, and ours was formed in 2018, so they've been around for a while, and which should be a lesson for California. That one I thought was in Utah, as I recall, wasn't it? Isn't theirs? Yes. I think it is.
Yeah, it is.
I'm pretty sure it is. Well, I'm talking about the one, I think there's one in Utah and there's also one in Arizona. But at any rate, the money is invested. Those are very large. These are insurance, and I think we need to understand how serious the situation is in California on that one. I also wanted to comment on LAFCO. LAFCO is an agency created by the state I think it was in the 60s, the Knox-Hertzberg a bill created LAFCO, and the purpose of LAFCO is to make sure that there's orderly growth so that cities plan for growth, have the water needed when any housing is added, and of course all the other infrastructure. And in addition to that, LAFCO is charged with doing what are called municipal service reviews, and those reviews are reviews of the financial health of the independent districts as well as cities. So we had ours just recently, I think last year. But this time it's done with service areas. So it talks about the financial health of cities in a general area. In this case, it's in the central Orange County, because our LAFCO, every county has a LAFCO. And I think it's worth noting, if you haven't seen it, it's open to the public now for viewing, and I think you can see it on the LAFCO website. I encourage anyone to look, because several cities are in financial challenge, you might say, one even to the point that if they don't improve their finances within the next 3 years, they actually could be bankrupt. And these are important lessons for us to notice, and those lessons include maintaining your community. And I think we recently received good press on the balance of the relationship between the number of employees and the population of the city, but that's not really a good measurement, because obviously the village has most of the recreation and we don't have that. So forget that for a moment, but look more carefully at the fact that our city we have paid our up to date on our pension funding, so we aren't behind there. The kinds of things that you want to look at the health of a city would be what I just mentioned, the pension funding, but you also want to look at, strangely enough, it's pavement, it's maintenance of your streets. The first thing I notice when I drive into a city, if the roads aren't very well taken care of. And actually just near us, the city right next door, their street got really bad. I was quite surprised how bad it got, but they did fix it. Our streets are very well maintained. If you look at our streets, we keep them in I think 75%.
We're in is our lowest, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the blended is 80-something%.
Yeah, so I think we have if we were to compare our city, you may think that's a minor thing. It's a major thing. When you drive into a city, what do you notice first? I notice graffiti, I notice trash, I notice the streets. I mean, those just jump out at you. And I'm pointing this out because I'm mentioning that a couple of cities are in bad financial situation. These are in the central area. In addition to that, one of the kind of, I don't know, what do you want to call it, grabs your attention is the fact that in one case, the city, this is the conflict, and I actually thought about it, who is representing us, and I don't think we're well represented, and I'm not pointing to a certain party member or elected official. I'm talking about in general, who is looking out for the city? When it comes to the city, not very many people in our community want high density. They understand good health means that you don't have high density. We have an issue that the state is compelling us every year to spend lots of money and to justify why we aren't creating this kind of a condition, and yet one of the cities that's in very poor financial condition and very close to a bankruptcy situation has been advised that they need to change their zoning from housing to commercial, because if they don't, their city will not have the funds they need to maintain their city. So I think this is something that we need to have more attention on this and more understanding of the fact that cities have to maintain their health. And if there is no city, you may think, well, I live in the village can take care of everything. There are certain things the village does do, and the streets inside the village, but the community has a standard. And those streets out there, those medians out there, as well as the safety from the county fire department, and which we rely on, and of course the sheriff's department, it's incumbent on us to make sure that our funds are well placed. And we saw it earlier. We feel comfortable with it. We receive money from the cannabis. We also understand that our property taxes are a tremendous source of funds for our city, and they're very important to us. So I just wanted to point that out. If you have an opportunity and you have not checked it out, go to the LAFCO website and look at the MSR, Municipal Service Review, and it's of the central part of the county, and it compares and shows you the health of cities that are having financial difficulty, 3 of which have difficulties. Thank you.
Is that it? We're done? Okay. I want to say one thing. I had a caucus meeting this morning with my California senior legislature, and we're having our annual session in Sacramento at the end of October. For years now, we've been directing all our proposals that we write toward the master plan on aging, all the different pillars of the master plan, and the county adopted that too, the master plan on aging. And our demographics are definitely getting older. The silver tsunami that I had been talking about for years is like finally here. Unfortunately, the county doesn't have much money to fund any of the proposals that have been written and any of the things that we're looking forward to. So it's really important for each of us personally to think about what we're going to do when we get older and when our loved ones get older, and just to be aware and think about things, because we don't really know how much of what will be there for us when we need it. As many of us need it now, and we're finding that finances are being withdrawn. So anyone that wants to come to the annual session, you can attend online. CSL, you can go online for csl.org, and you can check out all the proposals that have ever been written and all the proposals that we're pushing now in the legislature and walking the halls. It's a great organization. And if you have any ideas, if you've ever said, there ought to be a law, let us know. That's who to tell. Okay, so if there are no other reports or comments, this meeting is adjourned. We have no closed session, so we are adjourned to our next meeting of Wednesday, September 17th at 2 o'clock. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.